Illegal immigrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia cannot be re-detained by ICE, federal judge rules. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement cannot re-detain Kilmar Abrego Garcia because a 90-day detention period has expired, and the government has no viable plan for deporting him, a federal judge ruled on Tuesday. The Salvadorian national's case has become a focal point in the immigration debate after he was mistakenly deported to his home country last year. Since his return, he's been fighting a second deportation to a series of African countries proposed by the Department of Homeland Security officials. The government made one empty threat after another to remove him to countries in Africa with no real chance of success. U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes in Maryland wrote in her Tuesday order. From this, the court easily concludes that there is no good reason to believe removal is likely in the reasonable foreseeable future. That's because it keeps getting blocked. He should have just been deported to his home country. This is fucking ridiculous. Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin criticized the ruling in an email. Oh no, an email. Ooh.
You shut up! I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
If this matter were actually about the law or due process, Kilmar Abrego Garcia would already be deported and would never set foot in this country again. Judge Zinnes will not be satisfied until he's authorized to live in the United States forever. And that's true. And he's not going to be allowed to. Abrego Garcia has an American wife and child and has lived in Maryland for years, but he immigrated to the U.S. illegally as a teenager. In 2019, an immigration judge ruled that he could not be deported to El Salvador because he faced danger there from a gang that had threatened his family. By mistake, he was deported there anyway last year. I feel like if you're part of a gang and you don't want to be deported because you fear gang violence for having left that gang potentially, or what, I don't even know like why he's afraid of the gang, considering he has the tattoos on him still, but like, whatever, man. I don't think that's a reason to not deport you. That's not our problem that you decided to get involved with the gang. It's not that he could not, but that they would not. Very important difference. Was he granted asylum for this? No. Then sorry, kid. Face the music. It's a strongly worded email, I'll have you know. He's in a rival gang and forgot to mention that originally. Oh, I'm sure he forgot. Facing public pressure in a court order, President Donald Trump's administration brought him back in June, but only after securing an indictment charging him with human smuggling in Tennessee. He has pleaded not guilty. Meanwhile, Trump officials have said he cannot stay in the U.S. In court filings, officials have said they intended to deport him to Uganda, Eswatini, Ghana, and Liberia. In her Tuesday order, Zinnes noted the government has purposefully, and for no reason, ignored the one country that has consistently offered to accept Abrego Garcia as a refugee, and to which he agrees to go. That country is Costa Rica. I remember reading an article months ago about why we weren't going to deport him to Costa Rica, but I genuinely cannot remember anything about why, aside from someone saying this is not a vacation service. He does not get to pick and choose which country he gets deported to. Abrego Garcia's attorney, Simon Sandoval Motionberg, argued in court that immigration detention is not supposed to be a punishment. Immigrants can only be detained as a way to facilitate their deportation and cannot be held indefinitely with no viable deportation plan. Since Judge Zinnes ordered Mr. Abrego Garcia released in mid-December, the government has tried one trick after another to get him re-detained. Sandoval Motionberg wrote in an email on Tuesday. In her decision today, she recognized that if the government were truly trying to remove Mr. Abrego Garcia from the U.S., they would have sent him to Costa Rica long before today. The government should now engage in a good faith effort to work out the details of removal to Costa Rica, Sandoval Motionberg wrote. Again, I don't remember why they don't want to deport him to Costa Rica. Let's see if I can find an older article on that. Top Costa Rican officials said the country is willing to accept Kilmar Abrego Garcia, contradicting statements made by U.S. government officials in court earlier this week. Costa Rica's offer to receive Mr. Garcia for humanitarian reasons remains in place, Mario Zamora, Costa Rica's Minister of Security, told ABC News in a statement. My letter dated August 25th, 2025 is the official position of the government. In the letter, which ABC News obtained in August, Zamora said the country is willing to provide Abrego Garcia with refugee status or residency. Zamora's statement comes one day after John Cantu, a top immigration and customs enforcement official, testified in U.S. District Court in Maryland that removal to Costa Rica, Abrego Garcia's preferred destination, is not an option at the moment. Why? Mr. Cantu, when you say Costa Rica is not an option for removal, where does that come from? U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes interjected. Counsel, Cantu said, referring to a State Department attorney. During the hearing, Cantu also struggled to answer questions about a sworn declaration he signed regarding the government's communications with Costa Rica. Sitting here today, he could not tell me whether anyone from the State Department has been in touch with Costa Rica since August 21st to determine whether communications have changed, asked Sasha Rand, an attorney for Abrego Garcia. That's right, Cantu replied. Before Thursday's hearing, DOJ attorneys had also repeatedly said in court filings that Costa Rica was off the table without providing an explanation. Garcia's attorneys have argued the government has cycled through 4 third country destinations, Uganda, Eswatini, Ghana, and now Liberia, without providing the notice, opportunity to be heard, and individualized assessment that due process requires. As an American citizen, I'm tired of people who are here illegally and didn't care about our laws and have been living here illegally for decades suddenly having due process applied to them. Like, you came here illegally. I don't think you deserve due process. Get the fuck out. I will continuously say, if you are here illegally, our Constitution should not apply to you in any way, shape, or form. And it's wild that anyone would defend the fact that it should. In a statement, Abrego Garcia's attorney, Simon Sandoval-Moschenberg, said the government has lost all credibility in its denials that anything other than punishment is motivating its desperate insistence on sending my client to an African country, any African country. Earlier this month, DOJ attorneys argued in court filings that the preliminary injunction blocking Abrego Garcia's removal to Liberia should be dissolved because the government received assurances from the government of the West African country that he will not be persecuted or tortured. What? Abrego Garcia, who had been living in Maryland with his wife and children, was deported in March to El Salvador's Secot mega prison despite a 2019 court order barring his deportation to that country due to the fear of prosecution, after the Trump administration claimed he was a member of the criminal gang MS-13, which he denies. He was brought back to the U.S. in June to face human smuggling charges in Tennessee, to which he has pleaded not guilty. His criminal trial is scheduled to begin in January. Abrego Garcia's deportation is currently blocked by Zinnes pending the resolution of the habeas case challenging his removal. He's currently being held in a detention facility in Pennsylvania, and this was a couple months ago. So, like, I don't trust the government, but I also don't trust gang members who have entered my country illegally and have made no attempts to become a legal citizen in decades. So if I have to choose between my government saying he's a part of the gang, look at these tattoos, they match up with tattoos that the gang members have, this should be a no-brainer. And the guy who came here illegally, who's also facing human smuggling charges, saying, nuh-uh, no, I'm not. I'm probably gonna go with the government on this one, probably, you know? Feds offered Costa Rica, might send him to Uganda. This was in August. I don't think this is going to have any more information, but I just wanted to see. There could only be one interpretation of these events. The Department of Justice and ICE are using their collective powers to force Mr. Abrego to choose between a guilty plea followed by relative safety or rendition to Uganda, where his safety and liberty would be under threat. Why would his safety and liberty be under threat in Uganda? He was worried about going back home to El Salvador because of gang violence, right? His gang isn't operational in Uganda, so like what would be the issue here, man? A lot of people don't realize that in Latam, tattoos are almost usually exclusively gang symbols. They are not culturally accepted as art, yet like in the US, except by a younger generation. I would not know culturally, right? Like if I was out on the street, I wouldn't be able to recognize MS-13 tattoos unless they literally said MS-13, which what would be the point of that, right? So I wouldn't recognize the subtle gang tattoos. I'd have to have someone point them out to me, you know? And I did, like, at this point, if there's no real reason not to send him to Costa Rica, just fucking get him out, bro. Who cares? Who cares? Get him out. They would show him the way in Uganda. The West cannot mass import foreign cultures which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. What an interesting thing for Trump to say.
The situation in Minnesota reminds us that the West cannot mass import foreign cultures which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. I mean, we're taking people from Somalia, and Somalia is a failed, it's not a nation. Got no government, got no police, got no military, got no nothing. The explosion of prosperity and conclusion and progress that built the West did not come from our tax codes. It ultimately came from our very special culture. This is the precious inheritance that America and Europe have in common. We share it. We share it, but we have to keep it strong. We have to defend that culture and rediscover the spirit that lifted the West from the depths of the Dark Ages to the pinnacle of human achievement.
And that's true. That's true. And it's why I say, like, if you genuinely believe in the ideals that built our countries, you kind of have to defend it, man. If you don't defend it and it falls and we become just like everywhere else, then it wasn't really worth defending, was it? And I feel like it is. I feel like we should defend it. And there are so many people that will screech and cry and try to denigrate you for defending yourself. And that's very unfortunate that so many people fall for that tactic. The Oregon mom and daughter accused of trafficking Haitian nationals into the US to work at their adult foster home and then enslave them have been indicted by a grand jury on new charges. Marie Gertrude Jean Valmont, 67, and Yolandita Marie Andre, 31, have each been charged with 12 counts of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and forced labor. The pair coerced the labor and services of the 3 victims, including a minor victim, to work for little or no pay in their taxpayer-funded adult foster home. The victims said they were sponsored by Valmont under what they told them was Uncle Biden Plan, a term she had used to describe the protected status put in place for Haitians by U.S. immigration services. Once the victims arrived, Valmont and Andre allegedly stole their immigration paperwork, forced them to work excessive hours for $2 per hour, made them ration food, sleep on the floor, and prohibited them from communicating with the outside world. The care home was licensed by the Oregon DHS in 2023, compensating the mother-daughter duo $191,506.97 for the care of residents, getting paid $13,000 per month. Additionally, Valmont requested Medicaid funds to pay her employees, but pocketed the cash while enslaving them instead, per the indictment. Read the grand jury superseding indictment. A prosecutor said Valmont threatened to have the victims killed if they spoke to anyone about what was happening inside the care home, and hunted them down when they finally escaped. Also, damn, this woman looks like a fucking demon. Jesus Christ. Federal grand jury indicts Oregon mom and daughter accused of trafficking Haitians, forcing them into labor on new healthcare fraud charges. Federal grand jury has handed down a superseding indictment against an Oregon mom and daughter accused of trafficking Haitian nationals into the U.S. to work at their adult care center and then forcing them into labor with little to no pay. Marie Gertrude Jean Valmont, 67, and Yolandita Marie Andre, 31, have each been charged with 12 counts of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and forced labor. Valmont and Andre allegedly coerced the 3 Haitian victims, including a minor age 16, to work at their adult foster home, Velita's Home Care in Tigard, Oregon, under the promise of providing them with a steady income and a place to live. However, upon their September 2023 arrival, Valmont immediately stole their immigration paperwork, forced them to work extensive hours for no pay or just $2 per hour, made them sleep on the floor, and prohibited them from communicating with the outside world. The victims told authorities that Valmont and Andre sponsored them under the Uncle Biden Plan, a term Valmont used to describe the temporary protected status put in place for Haitians under the former administration's U.S. immigration services. Valmont and Andre are both naturalized U.S. citizens. Interesting. The Department of Justice said that Valmont allegedly engaged in healthcare fraud by participating in a conspiracy with Andre to request Medicaid exceptional payments for additional paid hours for employees while paying the victim employees little to nothing for their labor. Valmont also allegedly falsified a disability claim for herself, which allowed Andre to receive an hourly pay grade on the false claim that Andre was her care worker at the home, per the incident. The defendants also allegedly made false claims that they needed to compensate current and new employees for longer hours of work for foster care residents with exceptional care requirements in order to request and obtain funds from Medicaid and the Oregon Department of Human Services. The defendants pocketed the money they received from ODHS and Medicaid by paying the 3 victims little or nothing, rather than giving them an appropriate hourly amount. Valmont claimed to the state of Oregon that she was disabled to receive more funds. Court documents state. Velita's care home was licensed by the Oregon Department of Human Services in 2023, and the mother-daughter owners and administrators were compensated $191,506.97 for the care of residents, records show. In a detention memo, prosecutors revealed that Valmont and Andre, a registered nurse, were receiving nearly $13,000 per month for the care of 2 residents of the home. The state agency has since severed its contract. I'm actually surprised that it's not dirtier. Like, it was actually kept relatively clean. The victims, who were allegedly forced into labor from September 8th, 2023 to July 24th, 2024, told prosecutors that Valmont threw items at them, threatened to send them back to Haiti and have them killed, and threatened to call police to make false theft allegations against them if they spoke to anyone about what was happening inside the home. Authorities were alerted to the situation at Velita's by the state child welfare workers after the 16-year-old minor victim disclosed the scheme to a pediatrician in the summer of 2023. The minor was removed from the home and placed in foster care. If they were basically trafficked from Haiti and were only told that they have the temporary protected status because of Biden, why was the minor placed in foster care instead of being sent back to their family in Haiti? On Thursday, September 26th, 2024, the FBI arrested Valmont and Andre outside their care home. During the initial arraignment, prosecutors told the court that when the victims escaped from the home to report their conditions to the Thai Guard police, Valmont arrived in the police parking, prompting the victims to seek refuge at a nearby fire station until an officer could take their statements. Additionally, Andre allegedly intimidated the minor victim, paying a visit to her school to inquire about any information she may have provided to authorities. Valmont and Andre pleaded not guilty to the initial charges, in which each count is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. Fucking send them away, bro. We have no place for actual fucking slavery in America in 2026. Make it stop. But Kirsche, your liberal arts professor told you only white people had slaves. This is the black face of white slavery. Biden was still in office when they got busted. That's why they weren't sent back. That's fucking shitty. Aren't they naturalized? The people who were having the slaves were naturalized. The slaves themselves were not naturalized, no. And people still want to acknowledge this as just a societal norm for them, you know? Leftists told you Haiti was a great place. Why wouldn't they want to go back? We're not going to send you to Brazil. I was interesting that I actually got to cover that for once. I was not expecting to get a chance to talk about fucking the slavery case. Trans shooter who killed his ex-wife and son but spared his daughter. Robert Dorgan, a former Marine and shipyard worker, described himself as to the right of Hitler and was embarrassed by his gender transition before opening fire in Pawtucket. I can see why he would be embarrassed. He looks ridiculous. After shooting his ex-wife, his parents, and his son at a hockey match in the small Rhode Island town of Pawtucket, Robert Dorgan fixed his gaze on his daughter. For a reason that remains unclear, as investigators try to unpick one of the most horrific acts of violence to hit the sleepy corner of New England, Dorgan decided to spare her before turning the gun on himself. Feels very odd to say this, but I felt like I saw him communicating deep sadness, Amanda Wallace Hubbard said of her estranged father. I know that's probably not what people want to hear, I get it, but there's some deep, deep sadness in his eyes. She just watched her mother and her brother get murdered in front of her, and that's what she has to say? What in the actual fuck? That's very confusing. Rhonda Dorgan, 52, and her son Aiden Dorgan, 23, had been watching the family's youngest child play in a high school hockey game when Dorgan opened fire. They were killed instantly. Rhonda's parents, Linda and Gerald Dorgan, and Tom Geruso, a family friend, were critically wounded and remain in hospital. Dorgan had in recent years undergone male-to-female gender reassignment, making the Pawtucket incident the fourth high-profile shooting by a transgender suspect in North America within a few years. Earlier this month, Jesse Van Rootselaar, 18, a Canadian who identified as trans, murdered his mother and stepbrother before shooting dead 6 others at his former school in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. Dorgan's spree had shaken Pawtucket and the country as people asked what could have led a once loving father to attempt to kill his family. 'Cause his brain has been turned into soup? She has sympathy for the killer dad mom. Real mom is dead, and that's sad. But dad mom being sad is the true boohoo. Yeah, I genuinely don't get that, man. Dorgan's spree had shaken Pawtucket and the country as people ask what could have led a once loving father to attempt to kill his family. I feel like most normal people don't need to ask that question. You just need to look at him and be like, yeah, that makes sense. He killed himself and his family. Dorgan, 56, had a troubled history. He briefly served in the Marine Corps, enlisting in the spring of 1988. Less than 3 months later, he was separated from the service with the lowest military rank. Major Jacob Getty of the Marine Corps said such a rapid discharge indicated the character of the service was incongruent with Marine Corps' expectations and standards. Dorgan worked as a lorry driver and then became an electrician at General Dynamics Bath Iron Works, a shipyard in Bath, Maine, that designs and builds ships for the U.S. Navy. He had 6 children with 3 women, including Rhonda, with whom he had a daughter and 2 sons. Rhonda and Robert married in 1992, but divorced in 2020. Court documents show Rhonda filed for separation, writing gender reassignment surgery and narcissistic personality disorder as grounds for the divorce. But those were crossed out and replaced with irreconcilable differences. Why? Why would she cross those out and replace them with irreconcilable differences? What is the point of that? At about this time, Dorgan had undergone gender reassignment surgery. Dorgan appeared to continue living with Rhonda and her parents for a short period. Dorgan alleged Rhonda's father told him to leave because there is no way a word I can't say on Twitch is going to stay in my house. The police report said. Holy shit.
He's got a point.
I hate that he has the color on his car that I want on my car, because this is like the Skyline color, man. Come on, bro. Using census data, the Times established that Dorgan had the same surname as his in-laws because he and his ex-wife were first cousins, once removed, sharing a great-grandparent. How does this even happen? How do you end up fucking a cousin like this? Dorgan appeared to struggle with his trans identity. He asked friends and family to call him Roberta Esposito, though he did not appear to have legally changed his name. Oh, Alexa, that's so sad. Play Esposito. Destiny McKenzie, his shipyard colleague, said Dorgan wanted to be called Roberta at work. He would use the women's bathroom and wore high heels. I can't read the name Roberta without thinking of Cleveland's wife from fucking Family Guy. Another colleague said Dorgan appeared to be split on the issue of transgender acceptance, being proud of his transition one moment and embarrassed the next. Social media posts associated with the name Roberta Esposito show him with varnished nails and dyed hair. The shootings in Rhode Island and Tumbler Ridge follow an attack in Minneapolis in August by Robin Westman, a 23-year-old man who appeared at some point to identify as female. Westman shot dead 2 children and injured 21 at a Catholic church and school. Some Republican commentators have suggested a pattern of violence was emerging. The Minneapolis attack prompted the Trump administration to propose banning transgender people from owning guns, deeming gender dysmorphia a disqualifying condition. Which we do bar people from owning firearms for certain mental health diagnoses, so that would be an interesting conversation. Look at the Venture Bros reject. If you had told me this was from like some sort of spiritual successor to Old Greg, I would have believed you. About 2.8 million Americans identify as transgender, equating to 0.8% of the population. About 0.1%, 1 in 1,000 of mass shootings between 2013 and 2025, were carried out by a person confirmed to be transgender, according to data gathered by website factcheck.org. Dorgan's online account suggests a man with mental health issues who had a deep hatred for those who differed from him. A bicep tattoo resembled the skull logo of the 3rd SS Panzer Division, Totenkopf, and the Death's Head Division of Nazi Germany over the SS runes. I love seeing like normies cover stories like this, right? Like just the average normal conservative person on Twitter, because they're just like, this doesn't make any sense. How can you dress up like a woman and have a Nazi tattoo? Meanwhile, I'm like that fluffy fucking Pomeranian having PTSD war flashbacks to 4chan, and how pretty much every time someone was Nazi posting, 99% of the time it was guaranteed to be a femboy. Like, he should have never been able to legally get a firearm if the article's correct and he got a dishonorable discharge from the Marines. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. He drank his Baileys from a shoe. He's got a mangina. He's old Greg. Oh shit, you've never made that connection. It was a Nazi femboy that got me in trouble last year. I was like, oh, I like his frilly ass outfit. And then it turns out he had a Nazi book in his room. Fuck me, never trust the femboys. Reports suggest Dorgan had a volatile temper. He was charged with simple assault and battery in 1989, and the case was dismissed. Others who knew Dorgan disputed reports of aggressive tendencies. Sarah Graves, a colleague, said that as a young woman in a male-dominated field, Dorgan had always made me feel safe. A man in women's clothing with an SS tattoo made you feel safe? What are we doing? What? Okay, all right. Graves told the Boston Globe that Dorgan's children were all she ever talked about, driving from Maine to Rhode Island at weekends and sometimes sleeping in the car so she could be there for her kids. Using female pronouns for this guy makes this a little hard to parse. Graves said Dorgan complained he was not fully accepted by his family. I'm not sure what the exchange of words could have been to push her over the edge, Graves said. She worshipped the ground her ex-wife and children walked on. Now, did he worship the ground his wife walked on because he wanted to become his wife? Because that's usually what happens in these kind of situations when it's a middle-aged man deciding to put on the dress. The night before the attack, Dorgan appears to have posted on X, angry that someone had called Sarah McBride, a transgender Democratic representative, a man. Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk, Dorgan wrote. Yeah, I don't think do what we want or else we'll be violent toward you is really a good idea, actually. Tina Gonclaves, Pawtucket's chief of police, said the gunman entered the hockey arena, left, and then returned. And from the video, it doesn't appear that there was any conversation or confrontation between the family before the incident happened. There had been no indication from family or friends that there was any violence underway or that they were in fear of this individual. We continue to look into what the motivation was, and we're not sure at this point. We don't know what the triggering event was. You know, some people would say that the wife was strong for still trying to co-parent with this guy for the sake of the kids after the divorce. Especially when the reason for divorce was him going through reassignment surgery and other irreconcilable differences. But I feel like this person would have been 100% justified if she was just like, I don't want to co-parent with you, actually. Star Stroka, Aiden Dorgan's fiance, was in the audience at the rink when the attack happened. She speculated that Dorgan's sense of alienation left him embittered toward the family. He already had another fiance? Why did the fiance have a porn star? Who names themselves Star Stroka? What is this? He just had severe mental illness and just didn't want to see his family move on away from him and be happy, Soroka said. He wanted them to fall down the same spiral that he fell down. He just had very bad mental illnesses and he didn't want to get help. Why would you become a fiance for someone like that? What am I reading? You just described why you shouldn't get married to someone. He just had severe mental illness. He didn't want to see his family move on and be happy. You know, a normal human emotion. What the fuck are we doing? Major events are unfolding in Jalisco State, Mexico. Here's what we know so far. CJNG leader El Mencho Namicio Oseguera Cervantes was reportedly killed in Jalisco during a military operation. Am I pronouncing that right? I know the J is a but is it Jalisco or Jalisco? I don't know. Some are reporting that it was a joint US and Mexican Special Forces operation, which isn't confirmed. His reported elimination triggered immediate cartel retaliation across Jalisco. CJNG members are killing police, setting vehicles, buses, and structures on fire in multiple cities, including Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara. Armed gunmen are attacking areas around Guadalajara International Airport, causing panic and major disruption. Road blockages and coordinated criminal activity spread across the region. Air Canada temporarily suspended flights to and from Puerto Vallarta. The U.S. Embassy issued a security alert urging Americans to shelter in place in Jalisco, Tamaulipas, Michoacán, Guerrero, and Nuevo Leon. Jesus Christ, I can't pronounce these names. Roll those R's, Foxu. My nemesis, the letter R! A NOTAM over Tapalpa, Jalisco, restricting flights within a 10 nm radius.
And they bombed a car in front of her hotel. They are there because of a concert.
What? I hope your aunt stays fucking safe. That is terrifying. Thank you, Prague Maestro. Please let us know when your aunt is in the clear, dude. That's scary. Cartel had this much firepower and this many men, and they expect us to think that the Mexican government wasn't corrupt and complicit, you know? NM is a nautical mile. Thank you! I had no idea what that was. I was gonna ask chat. Within 10 nautical mile radius up to 22,000 feet until February 23rd. That's kind of crazy. Narco group besieging burned a gas station in Guadalajara. These people are dressed like firemen? What the fuck? They're not actually gonna shoot people, right? What is happening? Gas station attendant. Why are the gas station attendants dressed like firemen? What the fuck? Why wouldn't they shoot people? I don't know. It looked like they let the people go and then set it on fire. This seems like a very poor decision, though. Seems like a normal thing to do. It's just like the summer of love in the US. Rue Shady, thank you for the Mexicans. All the guns, American made, baby. USA. Okay, but why? I don't know. Milking a lady, thank you for the 55-month resub. We got a nice repeating numby for you, lady. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Oh, it's pissing. The machine is pissing on the right. I don't know why when I drink out of big cans, it makes such a slurpa noise. Also, I'm very surprised. I always assumed if you set a gas station on fire, it would blow up because of the gasoline. and the pressure, but it just kind of burned for a little bit and then the fire died. I'm a little surprised. I mean, I guess it's a good thing. It's a good thing it didn't explode, but still. My friend in Guadalajara just called me. They're terrified, but going after the cartels could not come soon enough, according to her. Hope the military and police can get things under control. She sent me these videos. It's a perfect car burning song. Oh my good lord, what the fuck? What the hell? Significant safety redundancies and gas pumps to prevent explosions? You generally have to sabotage a pump to get an explosion? Good lord. And we have, passengers are now fleeing onto the tarmac at Puerto Vallarta International Airport in the Mexican state of Jalisco after reports of gunmen storming the airport.
Esto es lo que estamos viviendo.
They look to be moving rather calmly, though.
Yo sé que igual está nada más generando pánico, pero güey lo están logrando.
Ranchera makes any stressful situation fun and silly. I don't know. I don't know if we want to call cartel violence fun and silly, though, to be fair. Cartels are actively destroying civilian sites in Mexico after security forces killed cartel kingpin El Mencho. Mexico should immediately request overwhelming U.S. military support and exterminate the cartels now. End this. I've never thought of calling places like Costco a civilian site, but I guess that makes sense. How many graphics cards do you think you could loot from this Costco and bring back to your Tarkov lair? I literally feel like I'm outside fucking Interchange, dude. No, the sails! Oh, that's a nice balcony. Total mayhem is erupting at Guadalajara Airport in Mexico after Mexican cartel leader El Mencho was killed at the hands of the nation's army. CJNG members are currently, or reportedly, trying to storm the area and other locations. Okay.
Están suspendidas las operaciones. Hay hombres armados en el aeropuerto.
Gente corriendo.
Oh no, someone tripped and fell. You hate how most Costco's don't have the onion spinner? What is the onion spinner? ¡Une mosqueros! Good lord. Here it said some are reporting that it was a joint U.S.-Mexican Special Forces operation. This has not been confirmed. There is no confirmation that the U.S. was involved at all. So far, the only confirmation that we have is that, yes, Mexican Special Forces did indeed do this. We do not know if America has been involved yet or not. We'll know eventually. Dan Dix on vacation in Puerto Vallarta drops the update. Authorities are telling everyone to get out now. People are scrambling and fighting to flee Mexico while the cartel war rages. Who the fuck is Dan Dix? Who the hell is even that? Dan Dix is an activist, journalist, award-winning filmmaker, and founder of the Press for Truth. I don't know. I don't really like journalists, but, you know.
So everybody is being told to leave the area right now.
Oh, those beds are really cute.
The tiki bar is being cleared out.
Tiki? They're clearing out the tiki bar? That's how you know things are bad, man.
All of these things are being cleared out. It's being roped off right now. They're asking that everybody vacate the area and leave immediately. You can see the smoke. I don't know if you can, the smoke in the sky. But we were just walking on the beach and we saw smoke everywhere. And we're being informed that there's major cartel violence happening right now all over Puerto Vallarta. Apparently, they've captured a top-ranking cartel member, and when that happens, all-out war happens. A number of cars have been
Please
set
use
on fire,
emergency
motorcycles
tiki
set on
bars
fire. In
only,
fact, there were
thank you.
Some attendees of Anarchapulco who were in a taxi cab. Taxi drivers are apparently targeted by the cartel. They were they had their car shot at. The taxi driver was murdered, and the car was set on fire.
What the
All of
fuck?
their luggage has been burnt, including their clothes and passports. In fact, so it's a pretty scary, dire situation right now. We're being told, do not go out at all. Do not walk in the streets. Do not get in a taxi or an Uber. Do not go to the airport. In fact, the entire airport may be shut down right now.
And we saw video from the airport earlier.
I mean, we heard Trump mentioning a while back that he's going to go after the cartel in Mexico. Is this the beginning of that? Are we witnessing it live? I don't know, but everybody here has just been instructed to leave the area immediately. The entire beach here is...
I feel like if they've been instructed to leave the tiki bars, right? And he's talking about how cab drivers are being shot and their cars set on fire. The people here should probably be moving with a bit more emergency. You know, it's very lackadaisical at the moment.
Being shut down, it's clearing out, and really intense situation going on here in Puerto Vallarta. So I'm gonna continue to document this as we do. We're gonna stay safe in our hotel. I don't know if you can see.
It's very hard to see
air,
smoke in
but,
video, so.
It's all over the place. It's thinned out now in the last hour.
Even if you run, where would you go? I mean, I imagine you just, like, barricade yourself into your hotel room, right? Like, that's the only thing I could think of other than just don't be in Mexico, bro. What are you doing?
Apparently, from what I understand, there's a whole bunch of cartel violence happening all over the city right now. We don't fly out until tomorrow, but hopefully it's not going to be an issue for us, because as it is right now, the airports might even be shut down. I hear the military is getting involved. Some of these cartel have, in the past,
Zombocom is still
shot down
pegged and
military
gagged. Thanks, I hate
helicopters.
it.
They literally own rocket launchers. So this is serious stuff. This is serious stuff.
This?
Everybody is
Why is Bagman there?
The bar,
Bagman!
the beach area, and
Bagman, get out of Mexico! The cartels are gonna get you!
Situation here in Puerto Vallarta.
I got another video. Not just airports. The chaos unleashed by the downing of El Mencho by the Navy SEALs. What? Has spread to commercial establishments. The Soriana store in Circunvalacion and Guadalajara and the Costco in Puerto Vallarta have been set on fire and vandalized by hitmen, with customers and employees still inside. It's unknown whether there were any casualties. Curiously, as far as is known, not a major government building has been touched. That is curious! That's a lot of damage. Todo empanada! Interchange ass location. That's what I said earlier when we saw the Costco video. Oh, those are really pretty trees! Oh, it's just like in the US where we sculpt our trees to look like cute little gumdrops, but they're in Mexico, so they sculpt their trees to look like sombreros! That's so smart. I want a tree like that. Look at how circular it is. Oh, that feels really nice to look at. Sounds like Soma. peak Kirsche stream is watching Cartel mayhem and focusing on the trees. They burned Costco, lol. The El Costco. And man, they really fucked up that Costco. Yeah, apparently. Everyone's sad about the Costco. Grok, is the Costco video real? Everyone cares more about the Costco than anything else. We have Mr. Donut Man here, quote retweeting this video that Retard Finder put out. Imagine. Trans Democrat is upset that queer kids might not be able to access porn. He says porn is educational. Do you guys remember how hard people fought for decades to be like, porn isn't real. You shouldn't take any actual sex education from pornography because it will not only be wrong, it will be bad and detrimental. And that still holds true. So anyone saying that porn can be educational, I'm looking at them like, why hasn't the FBI already seized all of your devices?
And the AGs in many states are very clear about that. They're almost jubilant about being able to use these laws to ban young people from accessing content that could be educational if they are queer.
There are many arguments against having real ID age verification online. Saying minors won't be able to access content that may be educational because they will no longer be able to slip through the age verification measures we currently have are not an argument for that. That is not the argument you should be making. That's fucking wild.
And you're a principal. You have LGBT students in your school. And we also know that they're not receiving sex education for queer kids.
So when I was in sex education, they told you about how, like, your body's going to go through changes. You're going to start growing hair. You know, some things down there will feel different. Women will get your period. Your period means you can now get pregante. Babby is made by putting el penisu in la vagina, all right? You know, like, they teach you these things. They don't... When I was a kid, they weren't up there being like, all right, let us discuss the 5 most... efficient ways to jerk off, right? Like, that wasn't a thing. So sex education for a straight child should and would be the same as for a queer child, unless you were trying to teach them how to have, like, anal sex or something. Which, why would you be teaching that to children? This doesn't make any sense to me. There's no sex education for queer kids, just about the biology. It's not about sex. Yeah, that's why it's like, what the fuck do they mean by this? That's so fucking strange. The person teaching them is the drag queen in the public library. Thanks, I fucking hate it, bro. What the hell?
We know that prurient interest could be, for many people, the very existence of transgender kids. More and more people are saying there simply are no transgender kids.
They're not.
You mentioned the Paxton case.
There's not. A transgender kid is like a vegan cat. You don't remember hardcore stuff being in sex ed? The Texas education system just said we would catch AIDS and die if we had sex before marriage. I mean, like, I've seen some of the horrific things that have been showcased on Twitter about sex ed. Like that one teacher rolling back and forth on their desk with like a dildo in between their legs. I don't know why you would do that. I think Donut Operator had the most sane response to this. I'm a man who likes to cross-dress, and you should let your kids watch porn. You guys understand how insane this is, right? 0.01% of society, yet 50% of registered sex offenders. Yeah, I'm not tolerating that is that an accurate statistic? That would be fucking crazy if true. Of all the schools that get shut up, why don't the demonic schools do? You just answered your own question. Soft admits by saying this that there's a link to underage access to porn and being queer. That is an interesting thing to take from this. I didn't even think of that. This just shows how retarded these people are. They believe sex education is actually about teaching kids the many different ways to have sex and not just shorthand for learning about how procreation is done, /puberty, /etc. And it's very interesting because originally when they started trying to push like more how to have sex stuff into sex ed, it was, you don't want your kids learning how to have sex from porn, right? Because that's bad and it's going to teach them bad habits and they're going to do dangerous things if they learn how to have sex from porn. And now it's actually, we have to watch porn in the classroom with your children. And it's like, what What are we doing here? Roadkill VT, thank you. Remember that time in Britain when moms were making corn for their kids, producing, not starring, miniseries Moms Make Corn 2019. It has a 4.0 out of 10. Unsatisfied with the violent sex available online, 5 ordinary mums work with industry experts and set out to create their own porn film they would be happy for their teenage children to watch.
What? What the fuck?
Like, I'm not retarded, right? I understand that if I have a child, they're eventually going to find porn somewhere, regardless of what I do. But I would very much want to encourage my child to, instead of watching porn and becoming reliant on visual imagery, you should use your imagination when you want to do things privately that might feel good for yourself, right? Like, just close your eyes and think of things. The future you will thank you. Your future significant others will thank you, right? And this is probably what, they're like 14, 15 years old as a child, maybe 13, I guess, depending on where you are. Close your eyes and think of England. Close your eyes and think of conquering England. That's how we masturbate in this house. And there's all the things here. I wonder why this is not popular. Nobody is talking about it. I don't think you really have to wonder, to be fair. Hypocrites. After several women complain how women are objectified and portrayed in porn, they go on a quest to make their own good porn. Naturally, these whacked out women have scared all men away from they, so they need to find one to act in their porno. When they interview the first candidate, their first question on their minds is, do you have a really big penis? And then they complain about men. Interesting documentary that will make you feel weird. I watched this mini-series some time ago and it rose a lot of questions, but was definitely not boring. I was constantly on the edge of moralizing you can't do that, or feeling straight up entertained and excited in a voyeuristic way about the moms' shocked reactions to porn they saw, and then their unorthodox ideas about themselves making a sex film and what it would be like. I still don't know what the moral lesson here is, but since I enjoy documentaries that deal with controversial topics, this was definitely an interesting watch. Thought-provoking. This 3-part documentary is not perfect, but it is good contemporary reflection on the state of sexual education and the role that porn plays in this. The moms are committed, but also somewhat naive. The makers choose the emotional perspective rather than the behind-the-scenes technicalities of porn filmmaking. But the premise of the mothers is that they want to make a movie that they could show their children. That's so fucking weird. And in that sense, the doc is thought-provoking. In Erica Lust, they find a new wave porn maker who makes movies to their liking. Meanwhile, one blatant omission is the role of the fathers. They are so absent that one starts to wonder if they are all single mothers. Are these mothers indifferent to what the fathers of their children think about porn? Considering the British output of documentaries about sex and porn, this is a welcome perspective and addition. That's pretty great. This was a great lead up into the where are the fathers question. Oh my god. You never want to hear that your anime is degenerate again? The fleshies are awful. And then Daily Motion had a bit of this, and I obviously won't be able to play much, but like
mainstream industry. Close-up shots of genitalia. Why?
Anyone?
For the
what the fuck? It has an echo, so I'm not sure how much of this is actually even, like, decent. There's actual nudity in it. Well, it's good that I am not playing much. I kind of just, like, want to hear them talk a little bit. Okay, that does not look like a safe part to go to. That does not look safe. Let's listen to this lady on the phone.
Hi, Jay.
Okay, so I've got something to tell you.
I don't like this echo. How did they manage to fuck it up so much? That's crazy. On February 22nd, around 1:30 a.m., a male in his 20s was shot by U.S. Secret Service agents and a deputy from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office following an unauthorized entry into the secure perimeter at Mar-a-Lago. The individual, whose identity is being withheld pending notification of next of kin, was pronounced deceased. The individual was observed by the north gate of Mar-a-Lago property, carrying what appeared to be a shotgun and a fuel can. U.S. Secret Service agents and a PPSO deputy confronted the individual, and shots were fired by law enforcement during the encounter. No U.S. Secret Servants or PPSO personnel were injured. There were no Secret Service protectees present at the location at the time of the incident. The incident, including the individual's background, actions, potential motive, and the use of force, is under investigation by the FBI, the U.S. Secret Service, and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. In accordance with agent policy, the involved Secret Service agents will be placed on routine administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. And then a few hours later, at 12:15 p.m., they said, the man who attempted to breach Mar-a-Lago with a gun and gas canister has been identified as 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin of Cameron, North Carolina. Authorities say his family had reported him missing on Saturday. Physiognomy, kind of very interesting here, you know? Mar-a-Lago shotgun-wielding madman ID'd as North Carolina golf course artist. Golf course artist is a job? Like, I figure, like, golf courses get together with, like, landscape companies to do the whole turf, but that, like, what is a golf course artist?
We just don't know.
The crazed gunman who was shot dead after trying to enter Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun and a gas can has been identified as a North Carolina artist who was reporting missing by his mom. Austin Tucker Martin, 21 of Cameron, North Carolina, was killed by law enforcement in the early hours of Sunday morning. He was reported missing by his family to authorities on Saturday. Officials are still investigating whether he bought the gun en route to Florida. Trump was not at Mar-a-Lago at the time he was at the White House, and on Saturday night, he and the First Lady Melania hosted the governor's dinner, which Democratic governors appear to have boycotted. Maybe this kid was just like, yeah, I'm gonna burn the Mar-a-Lago. What a freak. A box for the shotgun was discovered in Martin's vehicle following the shooting, which took place at around 1:30 a.m. According to Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi, according to social media, his family was frantically looking for him as he disappeared on Saturday night. This is Austin Martin. I redrew the scene I photographed at the course using the fine tip pen instead of the fountain pen. I hope y'all like it. Oh, so he drew art of golf courses, and that's how you become known as a golf course artist? ? Tucker Martin's social media shows that he was obsessed with drawing scenes from golf courses in the Sandhills region, which includes the famed Pinehurst. That's a very weird thing to become obsessed with drawing. His Instagram includes a series of bleak watercolors and black and white sketches, most appearing to show Quail Ridge Golf Course, roughly 15 to 20 miles north of his home in Cameron. The posts are accompanied by sparse electronics music and have almost zero social media interaction. Investigators haven't said whether Martin was previously known to law enforcement. Authorities have urged nearby residents in South Florida to check their security cameras for any footage that may show him. Oh, he went through ROTC, I guess? You're not gonna fault him? They're kind of tranquil. I mean, like, golf courses can look tranquil, but, like, drawing them obsessively is that's a weird autism trait. He was shot after he failed to drop the shotgun and gas can when he entered the inner perimeter of President Trump's Florida estate. Martin reportedly drove to the gates of Mar-a-Lago as another vehicle was leaving. The president is yet to respond officially to Sunday's incident, but White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt praised the Secret Service's quick thinking in a post on X. Imagine if Trump is just like, they're not sending their best. They have to try harder, honestly. I'm disappointed. The United States Secret Service acted quickly and decisively to neutralize a crazy person armed with a gun and a gas canister who intruded President Trump's home, she wrote. She also used the post to slam the reckless actions of the Democrats who triggered a partial government shutdown affecting the Homeland Security Department since February 14th. Wait, the government's been in shutdown since the 14th? I haven't even seen anything on Twitter about that. I guess we just don't care this time. Federal law enforcement are working 24/7 to keep our country safe and protect all Americans. It's shameful and reckless that Democrats have chosen to shut down their department, Leavitt said. FBI Director Kash Patel said that the Bureau would be dedicating all necessary resources to the investigation. It comes just 5 days after a Georgia man armed with a shotgun was arrested outside the U.S. Capitol as he sprinted toward the west side of the building. The incident at Mar-a-Lago took place just a few miles from Trump's West Palm Beach club, where Ryan Ruth tried to assassinate the president while he played golf during the 2024 election. Ruth was spotted by a Secret Service agent aiming a rifle through the shrubbery before Trump came into view. He was arrested after being incapacitated by officials and found guilty last year. Hot take. Hot take, maybe. If you are literally aiming a rifle at, like, a leader, maybe you should be taken out instead of given a life in prison. I don't know. It's like the same for people who commit, like, mass terror attacks. Why are they allowed to, like, live forever inside a prison cell? He was arrested after being incapacitated by officials and found guilty last year. Ruth was sentenced to life in prison earlier this month. Also in 2024, President Trump survived an assassination attempt during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, when gunman Thomas Crooks fired 8 shots, grazing the president's ear and killing an attendee before he was taken out by Secret Service counter sniper. So yeah, I guess just some dumb retard was trying to break into Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun and a gas can. I don't know what he was thinking. Clearly not at all. There was a French court rules that the 67-year-old Senegalese migrant Ousmane Diallo can't be held criminally responsible for killing 18-year-old Theo. Ousmane became furious in a mobile phone shop after having been told he would have to pay €93 for calls made to Senegal. He stabbed Theo in the chest on one of his first days on the job. The court ruled that Ousmane is mentally ill and will be sent to a psychiatric hospital instead until he recovers. Once again, if you are too insane to know that stabbing someone to death when you are angry is wrong, you are not fit enough to be in society. Why would we keep these people in a psychiatric ward? This is part of the, like, you just need to get rid of the most violent, like, 1 to 3% people, and then you have functioning society again. And here's an article, Seine et Marne, Theo, 18, killed over a phone bill. Suspect found criminally irresponsible. The Seine et Marne Azize court on Friday declared Ousmane Diallo, 67, criminally irresponsible. He was on trial for the murder of an 18-year-old shopkeeper and an attempted murder in July 2021. Wait, two? He has 2 murders? And you're still gonna just put him in a psychiatric ward? Are you fucking kidding me? Attempted murder. So only 1 death, but two attempted murders, 1 successful. 2 attempted, 1 successful. That's still fucking crazy. Why? Why would you keep this person alive? We'll get him for the 3rd one. In Clay Suili, the judges and jury determined that he lacked the capacity to understand the nature of his actions at the time of the events. This is not a reason to put him in a psych ward. This is unironically, if you are a judge and the person in front of you doesn't have the capacity to understand murder is wrong, I cannot kill someone, they should not be allowed to live. Like, end of. This is crazy. Gee, Sally, your country lets you have 2 murders. Can literally delete white people for free? I guess so. Diallo has now been placed under involuntary hospitalization in a secure unit for difficult patients. On July 10th, 2021, Theo Muxagata, an employee at a Boyuji's telecom store in a shopping center, was fatally stabbed. The accused was disputing a €93.62 bill from the operator related to calls to Senegal. According to the investigation, he had been making numerous inquiries in the preceding days and had gone to the store with a knife concealed in his jacket. Look, man, I get as pissed off as the next guy when I have to talk to customer support and fight with the Indian accent on the other line, but I've never taken a knife to a shop, okay? Like, dogs get put down for biting a person because they can't understand that they're a danger, but we let these people go free. I'm glowing. Do you think that eventually they'll have like those stamp cards that we used to get at Pizza Hut? And it's like after every 10 white people they kill, they'll get like a free pizza or something? You think we're gonna get there somewhat soon? Fringed Horizon, thank you. Looks like someone did a little oopsie poopsie, a little fucky wucky, if you will. You bet he's really sorry. It's so fucking tiring, man. A central debate on psychiatric condition. During the investigation, 3 panels of psychiatric experts assessed his mental state. 2 concluded that he suffered from delusional paranoid psychosis, resulting in a complete lack of judgment, while a 3rd found him to be impaired, considering it a personality disorder without a diagnosed mental illness. Nevertheless, the investigating chamber decided in 2024 to send him to trial before the Azize court. The decision of criminal irresponsibility has left the victim's family bewildered, as it should, as they had feared the outcome. Hospitalization is a secure unit for difficult patients can, in theory, end when doctors deem the patient stabilized, following a process of expert assessments and administrative approval. The duration of this treatment depends on the evolution of the patient's psychiatric condition and the severity of the offenses committed. Now, see, this raises a question, right? I don't know how much like a court is able to bring like any kind of IQ into the conversation, but if you're going to be using insanity as a defense for like murder and rape and such, not that there's rape in this case, but it's happened before. If you're gonna use insanity in that case, how do we know that it's actual, like, mental illness insanity and not just a low IQ, right? Not that either one would preclude the person from any sort of repercussions from the actions of rape or murder, but, like, what if what they're calling mental illness to get him into a psych ward isn't mental illness and it's merely just being low IQ? That opens up several other conversations. I'm very tired of this. I'm very tired of people just being able to murder and commit violent crime with no repercussion, really. Funeral for 12-year-old victim of trans Tumbler Ridge shooter canceled over threats against the family. Smith's father revealed that there have been legitimate potential threats from direct threats made to our family's safety by a very dangerous person, and that we cannot risk any further endangerment to this community. Who in the fuck is out here threatening families who had their children murdered? Like, what the actual fuck? The funeral planned in Tumbler Ridge for Kylie Smith, a 12-year-old who was killed in a school shooting last week, has been canceled due to potential threats made against her family, according to a report by Tumbler Ridgelines. The local outlet reported that Smith's father revealed that there have been legitimate potential threats from direct threats made to our family's safety by a very dangerous person, and that we cannot risk any further endangerment to this community. A post from the funeral home showed that a celebration of life was planned for Smith on Saturday at the Trend Mountain Conference Center, only open to Tumbler Ridge residents, friends, and family. The family of Kylie wishes to extend their deepest and most heartfelt thank you to everyone who has shown love, support, and kindness during this incredibly difficult time, an obituary read. Smith was one of 8 people killed in a shooting last week after 18-year-old trans-identifying suspect Jesse Van Rootselar killed his mother and stepbrother before going to a school in the town and killing 5 children and a teacher. Smith's father, Lance Young, previously told CTV News that she was just a beautiful soul. She loves art and anime, and she wanted to go to school in Toronto. And we just loved her so much, she was thriving in high school. Smith's 15-year-old brother Ethan hid inside a utility closet during the shooting. I soaked in that moment watching them walk in the door together for whatever reason, her father added. I didn't know it would be the last time. And it's just like, what? Who would threaten the family and why? Like, I would like to know, are they gonna do anything about this? Like, with the police? Because, like, what? For what purpose would you further victimize this family? What's the point of threatening a grieving family? I guess to make sure they don't speak out against things you don't want them speaking out about. You know, I guess keep them quiet, I guess. But, like, it's still fucking crazy to me that someone would go to the depths to do this. Like, leave grieving families alone? Hot take? A little short clip here. Teacher from Portland, Maine had no problem signing a fake petition to bring a Salvadorian MS-13 gang member who killed 5 people back to our country. She states that describing ICE's actions as appalling is not even a strong enough word. These are the people who teach your children.
We're trying to bring back illegal immigrants who were deported by ICE. We're with the Bring Them Back campaign. Could we get your signature for our petition? I just need your name and email address. Specifically, we're trying to bring back Edwin Hernandez from El Salvador.
Yeah.
We do have to disclose to you, though, that he is an admitted member of MS-13, and he did kill 5 people back in El Salvador, but we think he deserves a second chance, and we want to get him back. That's him right there.
And they're showing a thing on the screen from February 3rd. MS-13 monster who murdered 5 arrested. Cooperation works. USCIS and ICE.gov apprehended Edwin Antonio Hernandez. How can you be a double Hernandez? A criminal illegal alien from El Salvador, Hernandez confessed to membership in MS-13 and 5 savage murders in his home country.
What do you guys think about what's going on with ICE in this country?
Oh, it's appalling, I guess, is maybe not even a strong enough word. So,
Appalling?
Yeah, we're from Maine. There's been a lot of ICE activity in Maine.
Up in Portland, right?
Yeah, up in Portland. Yeah, that's where we live.
that.
Yeah. So, I'm a teacher, and there were lots of students that were afraid to come to school.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hopefully we can get Edwin Hernandez back.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to be criminally convicted in El Salvador, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Does it not even, like, occur to her that a man who brutally murdered 5 people should be deported? Like, why? Like, my question would be, like, why do you want that murderer here? Why would you want someone who just flagrantly does not care about human life in your country? Why do you want that? Selective hearing? I just don't understand. Would you rather a double Hernandez or a triple Muhammad? I think much like the earlier SS or SS question, I'm gonna have to say my lawyer advises me not to answer that. So the MAGA voice account, whoever the fuck that is, said, I'm in tears. Alysa Liu just did another beautiful skate at the Olympics. No political agenda, just having fun, representing America, going for gold. I love this. And I only brought up 2 examples, but as I was scrolling, there were like a fuck ton of people like angry that conservatives were like celebrating this woman representing America at the Olympics. Like this one said, so confused by right-wing accounts trying to claim her as if she isn't clearly a woke bisexual Zoomer. And another one here saying, again, she fucking hates y'all. And I think this is really indicative of the overall attitude where conservatives are just like, yeah, I don't really give a fuck what your politics are. As long as you love this country, that's kind of what matters. And this isn't someone who went to the Olympics and was like, well, you know, I don't represent America. I represent myself. They didn't do any of that nonsense. They were like, yeah, I represent America. Fuck yeah. That, like, she's also, as someone brought up earlier, the daughter of a Chinese immigrant who fled the communist regime. And so it's a little funny. And even if she is lefty or progressive or whatever, like, we don't know her politics, right? Other than she's like, yeah, I'm representing America. I'm happy to be here. This is great, right? The correct attitude to have when you go to the Olympics. Even if she has opposite political opinions, why can we still not cheer on someone who clearly loves America? This is how it used to be. Where like politics were politics, and you can have a discussion and you can disagree with each other, but you can still be like, that's my neighbor, that's a fellow American citizen, and I care about them. And the left only sees things in like bloody holy war dichotomy. And it also gives way to, like, when I think about content creation, there have been people who have been burned by content creators because they say like edgy jokes or they present a persona that is apolitical, and then behind the scenes they're just like, I hate these people. I hope they get miscarriages. I wish they'd get shot, right? Like, we see that occasionally, and people are like, well, that fucking sucks because I liked watching this person. I liked not thinking about politics when I watched this person. They were just fun and engaging, and it was completely non-political, but I can no longer support someone that wants me dead. And the people who, like, do that get made fun of by the left because they're like, oh, haha, you fell for it again. Nobody actually agrees with you, Chud. And it's like, there are so many people that want to find someone that's either apolitical or even slightly agrees with them because of how crazy Clown World has gotten, that, yeah, whenever someone pops up, everyone's like, yeah, I don't want to think about politics. I just want to enjoy this creator. Or like, yeah, finally, someone who kind of believes in something that I also believe. That's crazy. And then, if that person turns out to be a lying, duplicitous freak, somehow it's the people who fell for it that are at fault. And it's like, that's not really fair. And that also shows that more right of center people have, like, more hope that they can get along with people that disagree with them again. Like, they want to hope that we can have these apolitical spaces, that we can just grill, that we can do these things. And the leftists continuously prove that they are just absolutely seething about everything. Why would you want us to play this game where we're like, oh, I don't know the politics of this figure skater, therefore I'm going to shit on her because she might disagree with me? Why would you want us to play that game too? That's crazy and that's weird. And I know I'm probably not wording things like exactly the best here, but I hope I'm getting my thought across correctly. Where it's like the left is just always hostile, always like, how dare you enjoy this thing? She might be not a conservative. How dare you enjoy thing that I don't enjoy? Or, haha, you're a retard because you're supporting someone that believes differently from you. And it's like, that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case. Alysa is wonderful. Yeah. I don't know anything about her politics, and I think that's a good thing, right? Like, you want to just support someone who's a fellow American. It doesn't matter. The politics shouldn't matter. And so these people coming out and being like, she hates you, confused by right-wing accounts trying to claim her, like, we're just celebrating another American, man. Why do you gotta be so vitriolic? One might say America first. Yeah, like, these people on the left have this weird cartoonish view that we act exactly like they do, and everything is like this partisan, tribal, weird competition, and that's just not the case.